Hi guys, my name is Thomas. I'm the main technician at West Coast Airsoft Workshop. In today's video we are going to take a look at the newest addition to the Jefftron line of processor unit. It is going to be the Scylla processor unit. What it is basically, it is a cheaper alternative to the Jefftron Leviathan control unit. So as I said, this is going to be cheaper. It has a bit of a different trigger mechanism, which we are going to take a look in this video. We are also going to mount it and get a few runs through it so that you guys can see how it works. So let's get straight into it. What gearbox we are going to be putting it into? It is going to be a Delta Armor gearbox, which is pretty much just your standard, Spetsnaz, Lancer Tactical gearbox. So this is probably the most widely used gearbox on the market. So it probably isn't going to have any issues with mounting it. Also, it fits into many sorts of different gearboxes. The only thing that you have to remove is in the Crytek and GNG gearboxes, and perhaps some others maybe as well. It is going to be this part. But you have to cut it out in the Jefftron Leviathan as well. So if you have a Crytek or GNG, just make sure that you cut out this part, otherwise you are not going to be able to mount it inside your gearbox. So let's get straight into it. So what comes in the package? Of course, the processor unit itself, then a pretty much new selector plate stickers. We also have a one-sided sticker, and of course the classic Leviathan V2 double-sided stickers, the thinner and the standard and the wider one. Also what comes in the package is the new trigger mechanism. So what it is basically, some of you are very familiar with this system. It is going to be the same pretty much as the parent hybrid V2. The only main difference is that it is made from CNC plastic, which is different from parent because they have it 3D printed, but it doesn't really matter at all. Also what comes in the package is a mounting screw and the typical Jefftron cable, how would I say it, cable clips, so that your cables don't hop out of the gearbox. So let's get into mounting it. So we just drop in the control unit. It is going to be mounted in the hole where the stock trigger mechanism is screwed on. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I've already cleaned out the area beforehand. I have some grease, for instance, on the piston rails and on the tapped plate rails, because this gearbox has been running until now, but we are going to mount the new ETU inside for an upgrade. So let's get into it. So I'm going to match the opening holes. It fits without any issues, without any movement inside this gearbox, which is pretty nice. So we are going to put it into place. We are going to take a screw. One thing that I see right out of the box is that you are going to have some issues with installing it into Simo Platinum gearboxes, but that is pretty much normal, because they have in the place where the stock trigger mechanism is mounted, they have a bit of a bump, so we have to just make sure that it is flush with the gearbox so that it doesn't have any bumps on there. So I have the processor unit mounted. It doesn't move at all. It is properly secured. The gap is pretty much symmetrical all the way through. I'm going to still, however, move it a bit up. All right, nice. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the wires inside their respective wire harnesses. All right, so I have pretty much the processor unit installed already, which is a very simple task to do. The guiding of the wires, you can do it differently. I personally do it this way, so that I have the signal wire going through the bottom, then I have the negative of the battery going to the back. The second, then I have the negative motor cable going through the top, and at last I put the positive of the battery connection or the positive of the motor. So that's the way I do it. You can do it differently. Personally, I find that this rig does it the best. You can also use the clips that come with the processor. I personally don't really, I'm not their biggest fan, so I do not install them. So second thing that we are going to do is we are going to mount the trigger mechanism onto the trigger itself. So I'm going to unscrew the top 3 screws and the screw on the top. Alright, so I have the magnet itself disassembled into 2 pieces. It is very nicely made. It is made out of a CNC pump plastic. So the next step, I'm going to place the trigger inside like so. Then I'm going to put on the top part on it, such as this, so it sits nicely and flush. Then I'm going to mount the 3 screws that go through the magnet holder itself. Alright, so I have the 3 screws that go through the magnet holder itself screwed on, and then I screw on the top screw such as so that the magnet itself doesn't move at all on the trigger. So next thing that you guys have to do is place the trigger inside the gearbox and make sure that it has a free movement inside it. So I'm going to close the 2 parts. It is moving without any issues. So I have the magnet holder installed properly. So the next part of the install is going to mounting the selector plate sticker on inside the selector itself. So I'm going to clean out the fire selector with a degreaser. I personally use Barrack Clean because it cleans any grease out the best. So I'm going to spray some onto a towel, for instance, onto a toilet paper, for instance, and I'm going to wipe down the fire selector so that it isn't greasy at all. So that it's nice and clean. Then I'm going to take very carefully 1 selector plate sticker. I have the selector sticker installed. So pretty much the way you just put it on is you align the clear white part of the sticker with the back part of the selector plate itself. It is going to face rearwards, and then I align the top of the sticker with the top part of the fire selector plate, which sticks down. So pretty much the same way as it is stated inside the selector plate manual. So next part, I'm going to just slap the selector plate on. Make sure that it moves freely, which it does. Then I'm going to, one new thing that I'm very happy that Jefftron has added is that we can now use the mechanical safety of the gun itself. So I'm going to mount back the safety. So we have pretty much the unit it's installed. So as you guys can see, the safety is going to engage without any issue. So we are now going to have also the possibility of using a mechanical safety with this process unit, which I'm very happy because I personally really like when you can still have a mechanical safety inside your gun. So now I'm going to close up the gearbox without anything inside, just to make sure that everything moves freely. Alright, the trigger moves without any problems. The safety itself nicely blocks the trigger from firing on safe position. So we are pretty much done with the install of the unit. So now I'm going to put in a bit of a time lapse, where I'm going to put back the stock part, the rest of the gearbox, and I'm going to get back to you guys when I'm done with that. The rest of the parts installed. So just a quick summary of what's inside this build, so that you guys can perhaps take some inspiration. We are running pretty much the stock Delta Armory ETU gears, which have been of course modified, the stock piston, stock cylinder, and the stock gearbox of course. and the nozzle and the tappet plate. The upgraded parts are a FPS software V3 modified cylinder head, FPS software carbon piston head. We have J-caged bearings, and we have a Nimrod Tactical 26K motor. Now bear in mind that this gun already has some rounds through it, so it is not a new build, so that's why you can see, you know, grease on all over the gearbox, but that's just a, how would I say it, a cosmetical thing. So now I'm going to close it up, and we are going to see how the gun performs itself. Alright, so we have the unit installed. The process of mounting it was very easy. The only issue that I've personally had was the wires, that they are a bit tougher, but that's also a plus because you have very low chance of stripping them. It is everyone's personal opinion. I personally like a cable that is a bit softer, but that's really up to you guys, what you prefer. Now, going to the app itself. As you can see, the app is a bit different and it is new. So let's get on to it and how it works. So I'm going to connect the battery. As you have heard the signature beep of the Jefftron processor units, then I just press refresh on the finder of the Bluetooth devices. I press connect. This is pretty much the same as in any other Jefftron device. So I've already set the password, so you just guys press type in 1234 and you are ready to go. And I'm inside the app. So I'm going to switch out. We are going to get to this step a bit later on. I'm going to go to the sensor checks and the device calibration. So as you can see, this is looking a bit different than before. What you've had before was kind of a diagram with each setting displayed. Now you have a very nice diagram of the whole processor unit and the sensors themselves. So now I'm going to go to the optical selector calibration. In this specific gearbox, which is the Delta Armory gearbox or the Spetsnaz gearbox or SR4 or Lancer Tactical, they are all the same. I've used the standard sticker, which has better glue on it, I think, and it didn't need any external glue installed, which before had to be applied sometimes, but right now with the new stickers it is no issue, and I have used the standard sticker. You guys might encounter that you will have to use another sticker maybe, because your selector plate is a bit different and your selector is a bit different, but personally I found that in this gun the classic selector works the best. So I'm going to go to the optical selector calibration. If you have a DMR, do it through the DMR settings, but I have a standard AR-15, so I'm going to go for the standard settings. So I'm going to press continue. As you can see, I have 6% on safe, so I'm going to press next. Then I'm going to go to semi, which is on 31%, which is perfect, and then on full auto, which is 78%. So I'm not going to do any more fine calibration. The sensor calibration of the selector plate it was going just fine. So I'm going to now check. As you can see, the settings changed in real time. So now I'm on semi, now I'm on full auto. So this is rather nice. I really like this addition. So then I'm going to go to the optical cycle calibration. I'm going to put the gun on semi. Make sure that you guys don't have a mag installed and that your gun doesn't have any BBs in the chamber. I'm going to press the trigger. And I'm personally going to set this on automatic cycle calibration because it works beautifully. So that's the cycle calibration. In my case, it was going without any issues. If you guys have any issues with this particular settings or with any other settings, I recommend that you guys contact Jefftron themselves. They are a wonderful group of guys who are ready to help you at any time. Now this is very new, the trigger sensitivity setting. Personally, the gun that I installed this in, we want to have as much of a sensible trigger as possible, so I have set it to 4%. But as you can see, when I press the trigger, the rate goes further and further. So if you guys want, for instance, a trigger that activates at the rear, you guys can do so. So as you can see, it will activate in the rearmost setting. Then you guys also can set a reset point. So pretty much what this is that you press the trigger, it fires at that stage, and then you have to depress the trigger a bit more to fire again. But personally, I don't care about this setting, so I'm going to leave it disabled. So that's it regarding the calibration. The process is very easy, very nice, so that's a big up from me for Jefftron. As you guys can see, the app doesn't have the best refresh rate right now because it is still in development, and the full release is going to be much smoother. So now I'm going to go to the settings app where I modify the rate of fire, active brake and stuff like that. So fire mode, you guys pretty much have same settings as on the Leviathan V2. So you guys have semi, burst, full auto or binary, that's up to you, but I'm going to leave this on the stock setting, which is semi and full auto. And then you guys can set the burst, rate of fire. I personally have set the active brake to 15% because that's where the motor performs the best. And then pretty much all other settings are the same. Now there are some things that are different regarding the options that you have for this unit, which I will list over here at somewhere on the screen right now. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. Personally, this unit has performed flawlessly. For the price, it's a really nice processor unit. What I would say is that it's somewhat of a concurrent to the parent hybrid V2 and the Aster 2 V2. So it performs right now without any issues. So possibly we are going to use these processors in the future as well. And that's pretty much it for the video. So the guns works now beautifully. As you guys can now see, I'm going to shoot on semi and full auto. So that's it for this video. I hope that you guys have found some new information in this video and that it has been helpful to you, and see you guys in the next video. This was Thomas from West Coast, and I'll see you guys. Bye.